What's up guys, Tracy here. In this video I'm going to review the new character Azusa and give you guys my gacha advice on this banner. With the release of Main Story Chapter 3, we are going to get multiple top tier students back to back, and deciding on which student to pull is kinda important. I will also go over the new raid boss Hieronymus. This boss is currently the most difficult raid boss and has some complex mechanics. Although you can find the best team builds by simply checking the leaderboard, knowing how this boss works is quite important. There's a lot to go through, so let's start with the character review. The new student Azusa is the best single target red damage dealer in the game, not only for global but for JP server as well. She has a few unique traits. First of all, out of all the red damage students, Azusa is the only frontline unit with S rank on indoor terrain. Since nearly all the red damage students are bad indoor, this makes Azusa extra important. Another thing is that Azusa is one of the few students with critical rate passive and uses glove. This combination gives the student very high critical rate, around 60% critical rate at max. Usually this means the student has weaker base damage to balance it out, but that's not the case with Azusa. The EX skill for Azusa deals over 2000% of attack as damage. The sub skill adds another 88.5% on hit if the target has any debuff. The EX skill actually hits 13 times, so the total percentage for EX skill is over 3000%, which is kinda ridiculous. In terms of raw damage, Azusa EX does about the same damage as full hit Hibiki EX, but because Azusa is frontline, after adding backline buffs, Azusa beats Hibiki by quite a bit in terms of single target damage. On top of having top tier damage, Azusa also comes with defense reduction, which is extremely valuable against high defense bosses. When using with Akane, the total defense reduction translates to more than 60% damage increase for the entire team on Hieronymus Extreme. One thing to note is that skills from the same slot with the same effect will not stack. So Maki also has defense reduction on her basic skill, and that will not stack with Azusa basic skill. So in terms of boss coverage, Azusa is obviously god tier in odd red armor raids. She's also okay in yellow armor raids. Most players will need multiple teams to beat Extreme Bina and Chesed at the start, and even without the armor type bonus, Azusa still beats most yellow damage dealers in the game, so she is a great secondary option. So whether or not to pull for Azusa is quite obvious. She is extremely good and you should pull her if you have more than 24k pyros at the moment. However, if you are free to play and don't have 24k pyros right now, I recommend skipping Azusa and wait for the Koharu banner. This is because supporting students are overall more cost efficient for free to play and low spenders. Supports are usually good across all bosses, whereas damage dealers are at most good against 2 or 3 bosses. Once the borrowing system comes out, it is just cheaper to borrow different damage dealers for each raid than raising the damage dealers yourself. I will make a separate video on this matter sometime later, so stay tuned for that. Now for Hibiki. Currently Hibiki is still a top tier student on JP server, but due to other viable supports getting released, she is no longer god tier. With the pace global is going, Hibiki will stay god tier for at least 5 more months. Overall, I don't recommend pulling Hibiki at this time. We will be getting back-to-back strong releases in the upcoming weeks, and you might just randomly get her in a future banner. But if you are close to 200 pulls and got Azusa already, sparking for Hibiki is not a bad idea either. Lastly, let's quickly go over the new boss. Hieronymus is by far the most overpowered boss in the game. It starts with 60% damage reduction and has relatively high armor, so even with low HP, it is extremely tanky. On top of being tanky, it also deals very high damage. The core gimmick for this fight is healing the lanterns. The lantern requires 15,000 healing on hardcore and 35,000 healing on extreme to fully heal. Green Lantern when fully healed will apply a debuff to the boss that increases its damage taken by 55%, and this is stackable up to 5 times. Since the boss has built-in damage reduction, healing the Green Lantern 5 times is pretty much required if you want to do significant damage. However, after healing the lantern to full, it will take 50% reduced healing for the next 20 seconds, so you cannot just spam healing on it. The healing reduction debuff can actually be cleansed, but currently the only cleanse in the game cleanses debuff after healing, so it is not a viable strategy yet. There is a red lantern on phase 2, and you only need to heal it when the boss does its special attack. When the skill meter for the boss goes full in phase 2, it will unleash an attack which insta-kills your entire team. This can only be interrupted by healing the red lantern during the attack animation. It will briefly stun the boss and give you a little bit of extra skill cost. So besides Azusa, there are 2 other super strong students for this fight. Because the boss has a rather big hitbox, Hibiki can easily land all 5 bombs. All you need to do is place the EX skill in the somewhat middle area, and all 5 bombs will hit. Musuki is also a top tier student for this one. Her EX will easily hit 3 times on the boss, and if you use Serena to reposition Musuki a bit forward, her landmine skill will also hit the boss for massive damage. So to sum it up, here are my recommended students for this fight. Hieronymus also comes on urban terrain, which most red damage students deal bonus damage. So when the terrain switch over next time, it will be a lot easier. Do this boss on extreme requires your healers to heal for more than 35,000, which is a pretty big investment at this time. If you are free to play or low spender, I recommend not over investing on this boss right now. Once Koharu gets released, it will make things a lot easier, and getting to level 70 will nullify the level disadvantage, which equals more damage dealt. And that's it for this video. If you have any questions, my Discord has a very active Blue Archive channel, and a few experienced veteran players are happy to help out. I will leave a link in the video description. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.